Far away in the beautiful kingdom of Persia, in a city called Susa, lived a young woman named Esther. She was kind, wise, and graceful, but also brave in ways she didn't yet know. Esther wasn't from Persia by birth. She was a Jew, part of God's people who lived far from their homeland. Her parents had died when she was little, so her cousin Mordecai raised her like his own daughter. He taught her to love God and to always do what was right, even when it was hard. The Jew girl who became queen. One day, King Xerxes of Persia decided to choose a new queen. Messengers went through the land, looking for the most beautiful and kind young women to bring to the palace. Among them was Esther. When she arrived, everyone noticed her kindness and gentle heart. She didn't brag or boast, she just did her best each day. Soon, when the king met Esther, he was so impressed by her warmth and wisdom that he placed the royal crown upon her head. Esther, the orphan girl from a faraway people, was now queen of Persia. But Esther kept one secret, just as Mordecai had told her. She didn't tell anyone she was a Jew. Sometime later, the king promoted a man named Haman to a powerful position in the kingdom. Haman was proud and loved to be honored by everyone. He demanded that all people bow to him when he passed. But Mordecai, Esther's cousin, refused to bow. He bowed only to God. Haman burned with anger. "Who does this man think he is?" he shouted. "I'll make him pay." When Haman found out Mordecai was a Jew, his anger grew even more. He didn't just want to punish Mordecai, he wanted to destroy all the Jewish people in the kingdom. So Haman went to King Xerxes and said, "There is a group of people in your empire who do not follow your laws. It would be best to get rid of them." The king, not knowing who they were, agreed. He sealed the order with his royal ring. Messengers carried the terrible news across the land. All Jews would be destroyed on a single day. When Mordecai heard the news, he tore his clothes in sorrow and sent word to Esther, "You must go to the king and beg him to save our people." But Esther's heart filled with fear. "Cousin Mordecai," she said, "anyone who goes to the king without being called can be put to death. Even I, unless he holds out his golden scepter, cannot go before him." Mordecai's message came back firm and full of faith. "Esther, perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Esther read those words over and over. She took a deep breath and knew what she had to do. She sent word back, "Gather all our people and fast for 3 days. Do not eat or drink. I and my servants will do the same. Then I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish." Esther's courage. After 3 days of fasting and prayer, Esther dressed in her royal robes. Her heart pounded as she walked toward the king's hall. The guards bowed as she entered, but no one dared speak. The law was clear: to enter without being called could mean death. King Xerxes looked up and saw Esther standing there. For a long moment the room was silent. Then the king smiled. He lifted his golden scepter and said, "Queen Esther, come forward. What is it you wish? Even up to half the kingdom, it shall be yours." Esther bowed low. "If it pleases the king," she said softly, "let the king and Haman come to a banquet I have prepared." The king agreed, curious. Haman, proud as ever, strutted beside him. He thought the queen must like him best of all. At the first banquet, the king asked again, "What is it you wish, Queen Esther?" But Esther waited. "Please come again tomorrow," she said. "Then I will tell you my request." That night Haman bragged to his friends, "Even the queen invites no one but me to her feasts. But I cannot be happy while that Jew Mordecai lives." So he built a tall gallows, a wooden frame where Mordecai could be hanged. The next night came. The king and Haman sat at Esther's table again, enjoying her feast. Then Esther took a deep breath. Her hands trembled slightly as she spoke. "My king," she said, "if I have found favor in your eyes, grant me my life, and the lives of my people. For we are to be destroyed." The king's eyes widened. Who would dare to do such a thing? Esther pointed at Haman. "The enemy is this wicked man." Haman's face turned pale. He fell to his knees, begging for mercy, but it was too late. The king ordered Haman to be taken away, and he was hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Soon after, the king gave Mordecai Haman's position and wealth. He also made a new decree that allowed the Jews to defend themselves. When the day of attack came, God protected them and their enemies were defeated. The people of Israel celebrated with joy and thanksgiving. They called the festival Purim, to remember how God had turned sorrow into gladness. And in the palace, Queen Esther smiled quietly. She knew that her courage and God's faithfulness had saved her people. That night, the stars over Susa sparkled softly. In her quiet room, Queen Esther whispered a prayer of thanks, not for her crown, but for the chance to be part of God's great plan. Conclusion. Courage comes from faith. Esther was afraid, but she trusted God more than her fear. If God places us where we can help, like Esther was queen for such a time as this, we can make a difference right where we are. Esther risked her life to protect others, and God used her bravery to bring hope to an entire nation. Doing what's right may be risky, but it's worth it.